are live. So, welcome to episode 239 of An American Werewolf in New Jersey. I am the American Werewolf. In the house tonight over there in swinging London. Hopefully she's not saying anything on social media that's going to get her rendition to some, screwed up fucking place. We got my good friend Morgan Scorpion. Thank you for joining us. It's been a while since we've seen you, and it's good to have you back. All right. And we've got not from Dublin or any fucked up place like that. I don't know where anybody would get that kind of idea. We've got Marty from the Trash Picture Show. Why don't you, for clarification's sake, Marty, tell us all, set the record straight. Where are you located? Not your address, not your mailing address.
Okay, no, I'm from
credit score.
I'm literally from the opposite side of the country. I'm in County Clare. If you've seen a place called the Cliffs of Moher, that's the county I'm from.
Oh, you really? That Brendan Gleeson movie with Colin Farrell. Okay, okay. All right. Well, I'm glad we got that cleared up. All right, because I've been misrepresenting Marty as a citizen of Dublin, and it just isn't fucking true, and I apologize. So, in the lead up, I've got my ticket for Thursday night to go see some alien fucking Romulus. And I'm hearing really good things. The reviews I've heard so far, no one's complaining about anything. So I thought we would have a discussion about the entirety of the franchise. And this year, about a month or two ago, I had the opportunity to see on the big screen Ridley Scott's Alien for the 45th anniversary, 45 years of Alien, also coinciding with now at the 45th year, the release of a new movie, Alien Romulus, directed by Fede Alvarez. And it just looks like it's going to be a great big ball of fun. So if you guys are ready to get into it, shall we get it going? Boogie woogie.
Yep.
So, I mean, we've got at least 6 films. I got the quadrilogy here. So that's all of the first 4, Aliens, Alien 3, and Alien Resurrection, theatrical and resurrection and director's cuts. We've got Prometheus, which I happen to love. I think it's a fantastic film. We've got Covenant that I've seen sort of recently is getting sort of a reinvention by the fans who are saying it's this great piece of art. Personally, I never thought so, but maybe I'll take a look at it again. And then when I first met Marty, I don't know if he'll remember this, I happened to win from him in a trivia this fine graphic novel, which he was cool enough to send me all the way overseas, which is Aliens with Nightmare Asylum and the Earth War, which is an interesting read with Hicks and Newt getting involved in a relationship years later, sort of, both sharing the PTSD. So some interesting stories in there. But I thought we'd run this a little more structured than the standard thing. And the first question I'd start off with is, what is your first experience with the Alien franchise? So ladies first, Morgan Scorpion, what was your first experience with the Alien franchise? Where did it happen? When? What did you think?
Technically, for me, my first experience of the Alien franchise was through the artist H.R. Geiger. So long before I saw the first movie, I had a book of artwork from it by H.R. Geiger. So I was looking forward to this film for about a full year before it actually came out.
Okay.
And what can I say? I absolutely bloody loved it. Completely, totally loved that film. I loved the monster effects. I loved the characters. I loved Ripley. I loved Jonesy. You know, I don't think I've got a single fault to find with any of it. Um, to say that I had the word alien written across my raincoat. We had this kind of running joke. I was a punk. My friend Gay, that was her name, had woman written on the back of her jacket. Her little brother Richie had a jacket from a company called Boy. So he had boy written on the back of his jacket. So I had alien written on the back of my coat. So we've got the three of us going through town. Woman, boy, alien. Now, it just so happened that I knew the Stranglers, the band The Stranglers, slightly. Jean-Jacques Vanel, the bass player, had this most fabulous memory for names, which I don't have. So when he saw me, he couldn't actually remember my actual name, but he remembered what was on the back of my coat. So he called out, "Oi, alien." And that is how I got my street name. And for about the next 8 years, that was the name I went by, Alien. That is how much I love that film. So
Okay.
yes, that's my first encounter.
That is truly an original story. All right. Marty, what was your first experience with the franchise? How did it come about? Lay it on us. What do you got?
So, I'm lucky enough to be born to the generation of parents who didn't give a shit what you watched so long as there was no tits or sex in it, okay? So, essentially, I think I was about 6, maybe 7, and on terrestrial TV, I saw Aliens. And even though it was on like my 15-inch black and white CRT TV, it fucking knocked my socks off. I was like, oh, this is the best fucking movie ever. And then as I got older, I kind of I was solely interested in that, and I got into comics, and I knew about I knew about Aliens, but I'd never seen the movie. And then I started collecting the Dark Horse comics, and that's like, this is fucking awesome. These are brilliant. And obviously, for my 11th birthday of all things, my brother got me Alien on VHS. He's like, yeah, you can watch this. So again, it just took off from there. And yeah, I've been a fan mainly because of the Dark Horse comics, which had some fantastic writers. Absolutely, like the story Nightmare Asylum. It's essentially Apocalypse Now with aliens. If you haven't read it, it's about a despot general who's running a kingdom using xenomorphs. But yeah, no, that's my introduction to the franchise, the comics, and the second movie.
Okay, so the second movie came first. You didn't see you didn't see them in order. Okay,
no.
All right, that's interesting. All right, so for me, about 2-3 miles down the street from where I am right now. I live a mile away from where I grew up, but down the highway, about 3 miles from here or in either direction, there was a drive-in theater. And that was where we went to go see the movies. It was a Friday night thing that we did together as a family. And so it was one of those old ones that, nowadays, I guess there's a frequency on your FM radio or something at the lower end of the spectrum that you can hear through your car speakers. But back then, the drive-in was a little shitty metal speaker that you hung on the inside of your window. And there was the big screen, and they had popcorn and all that kind of stuff. And I was about, 10 years old. And again, was another, like Marty, as long as it didn't have sex or anything like that, I was allowed to watch it. And I proceeded to sit here and watch Ridley Scott's Alien. Not able to fully appreciate it at 10 years old for, just how fucking fantastic it is. But I was just blown away. I had never seen anything like that before in my life. I'm not really sure I've seen anything like that since. I think I was saying before we went on the stream, I had the opportunity to go to an indoor theater. I went to the theater, the cinema, to see Alien for the 45th anniversary. It still holds up. on the big screen, completely digitized, all the detail. I mean, they just the way that they showed it on the screen. I mean, with the graininess, and I don't know the way that the set designs, and the practical effects, just still holds up the sense of claustrophobia that you have, on the ship. You don't realize what, especially I didn't realize it at 10, what an ensemble cast that first movie is.
Great cast.
Yeah, everybody in there is just a stud. Everybody in there is just a stud. Sigourney Weaver, Tom Skerritt, Yaphet Kotto, Harry Dean Stanton, John Hurt, Ian Holm. I mean, Veronica Cartwright. Yeah, it's fantastic. And I was sitting there watching it, and I'm like, I was thinking, this is still great. This is still great. Probably, one of the best, if not the best, franchise in horror, but also maybe in sci-fi horror as well. I mean, just fantastic film. Hold on a second. We got some comments here. We got Jen saying, good evening, everyone. What's happening? And then we got Slasher Fred saying the original Alien is such a very classic movie because during the first half it feels like an ordinary sci-fi movie, but later pulls the rug right from under you. Yeah, it really was an original story. Just a completely original story. The original movie had also inspired the whole female empowerment in horror. It is what created the whole final girl trope. What do you think of it? Is that the case? Now, I've never been a fan of the final girl concept sort of thing in horror. I don't know. I mean, because it seems like the final girl always gets it in the end. Mostly where I just think that like Ellen Ripley is one of the best characters like across genres. She's just great. I mean, she's up there with Sarah Connor, with Dana Scully. What are some of the other names you would think of if you would, in terms of female characters in this genre that you would put up there? Who?
Lara Croft.
Okay. Yeah, people are fan. I'm not a fan of the game or anything like that, but yeah, okay, adventure. Marty,
Charlize Theron in Fury Road. I think she was brilliant.
Oh, Furiosa.
Yeah.
Furiosa. Okay, Furiosa.
Charlize Theron's version. I was a bit disappointed with Anna Taylor-Joy's version.
Okay. Yeah, Furiosa. But certainly probably one of the top two between her and Sarah Connor. Just fantastic characters. Fantastic characters.
Mike, one thing I might mention though, I don't think they became the bona fide, either of them became the bona fide action hero until the second movie. Particularly Ripley. Ripley, it just about survives by the skin of her teeth. And it's the same, I think, with Sarah. I think it's Cameron, it's both Cameron's kind of creatures that turn both Sarah Connor and Ripley into a more kind of action-orientated kind of character. That's something I always felt.
Okay. Julia, you wanted to get in there?
Well, I was just about to say the Suspiria, the character of Susie Bannion, I think probably qualifies as a final girl before Ripley does. But I'm just remembering, because I grew up in the 70s watching an awful lot of TV, and we had this Woman in Peril movie, which before you had the final girl. She'd always survived the movie, but her job was basically not to get killed until her boyfriend turns up and rescues her. So the whole notion of women rescuing themselves, yeah, that's a much later one, though we didn't really get that till the 80s. And I think Susie Bannion would qualify as the first final girl. I'm racking my brains to think of others, but certainly as a kick-ass heroine, Ripley was a relatively early one. But then I grew up with a TV series called The Avengers, not the comic book Avengers,
yeah. I know what you're talking about.
Agent Avengers.
Yeah.
And they always had a woman who kicked butt. The new Avengers had a character called Purdy, played by Joanna Lumley, and everybody wanted to be her.
It's a great balance. It's a great balance with Ellen Ripley because she's tough, but she's vulnerable. You know, she shows
She
fear.
goes back for the cat.
Well, she's not. I mean, I'm just saying. Yeah, she goes back for the cat. I mean, Jones is the only. Yeah, Jones is the smartest one. He doesn't go back. He stays on the planet during the second movie. He's like, "Fuck that! I'm staying here. You guys go off and be the heroes if you want to. I'm just going to go back to sleep." And he lives to sleep another day. But I mean, the balance between vulnerability, between having heart, between being tough. It's great, and she's not a flat character, in the way that so many modern female heroes are today. It's just this, whatever it is, she's better than everybody at everything, and it's kind of a disinteresting thing because there's no point, there's no stakes, she's always going to come out on top, that kind of character. This person, like Sarah Connor, and I don't want to talk about Sarah Connor because we're talking about Alien, isn't that way. I mean, she spends the entirety of both movies being terrified. And yet somehow she comes across as a complete badass. And I couldn't think of anybody who could play it better than Sigourney Weaver, who was a complete unknown. I forget who it was. It was Ridley Scott when I went to see it for the 45th anniversary. He was having a sit down before they aired it with Fede Alvarez, and he said he was having trouble casting the role of Ripley. And of all people, Warren Beatty came up to him. He goes, if you're looking for somebody, I know this woman. She's this young girl. She's off Broadway somewhere. You should really check her out. Her name's Sigourney Weaver. And that was it. I mean, it's a perfect piece of casting. And she's, she carried it through 4 movies. And is now just this. I mean, every time you see her, you're like, holy shit, it's Sigourney Weaver. She's one of those people now that if I see her in the movie, I know it's going to be good. I just saw the second Avatar movie for the Cameron again. For the first time, I just never got around to it. It made $2 billion. Cameron is still, making huge blockbuster films. And she's in it for like 5 minutes. But when I see her, I'm like, oh shit, Sigourney Weaver's in this again. Okay, that's cool. I mean, just such a great performer. And from this one film, just being perfectly cast and playing it to perfection. Outstanding. An outstanding piece of work. Let's see, what else? Hold on. We got one of the classic underrated movies that had inspired Alien was John Carpenter's movie Dark Star, which Dan O'Bannon had worked on. I never saw that.
It's his take.
You must. It is very clever. It is also hysterically funny.
He tried doing a comedy. He tried doing a comedy, and he said, "Well, I can't make him laugh, so let's try and make him scream." That's what's prompted him to do.
Watching the original theatrical version of Aliens, it creates the whole mystery of the character of Newt. In the special edition version, it gives you an explanation of her character. Yeah, I like that a lot better. That in that second movie, before you watch the special edition with an extra 40 minutes, you get Cameron out there saying that, he basically called it 40 miles of bad road because it's so much more depressing. And he was, sort of pressured to say, well, this is too long. You've got to cut this stuff out. It's too depressing. But I love it. Have you guys had the opportunity to see that special edition?
If you ask me, I actually think that special edition is pinnacle to the relationship between Newt and Ripley, because we also miss out on the fact Ripley's daughter has died.
Yes.
They excise the entire section where Carter Burke explains that her daughter passed away while she was in cryo, and I think essentially it's like it's you're taking the core theme of the movie about motherhood and this necessity for a kind of parental connection with Newt. And it doesn't gut the movie. It's still a cool movie, but it's you're taking one of the gears out of the car. It still drives, but it doesn't go as well as you'd like.
Julia, what did you think about that? I mean, I thought it was. I thought it's just.
I'm now
Go ahead.
trying to remember whether I've seen the extended. I think I have seen the extended one, and if I remember right, that shows the colony before the aliens attack.
Yes, yes.
And I have indeed seen the extended one, and yes, I preferred it. Though Aliens is probably my favorite in the franchise, as we aren't allowed to admit Alien versus Predator.
because I was just going to say, add it in there. I thought I had made that clear before we went on. So pick the ones that you want. It's that second movie is just, again, and I think Marty's got an interesting point in that Cameron made a more militarized film. And yet at the same time, you've got this whole motherhood theme going on over here that just works. He made a war movie. He turned the second movie into a war movie, but there's also a human interest plot right in there. And it's just, I think it's the best story of the original four. Easily. It's far more complex than the first one. My favorite movie, we'll get into that in a minute, but I think, it's far more complex than the first one. And again, another great ensemble cast. You got Michael Biehn, you got Bill Paxton, Lance Hendrickson, you got, who else is in there? Paul Reiser, who just plays, like, at the time that came out, he was like this TV schmuck. And you're like, what the hell is he doing in here? And he's fantastic in it. I was also glad to see, and just to backtrack a second, that in these special editions, you got these extra scenes. Like there's one scene in the first one where Veronica Cartwright slaps the living shit out of Sigourney Weaver for not opening the door when they come in there. And I'm like, whoa. I remember the first time I saw that, I was like, holy shit, like, where the fuck did that come from? That's pretty intense. You get to see Dallas, what finally happened to Dallas, and that he's been cocooned, and that Ripley ends up, mercy killing him. Great stuff. And again, these scenes where you get the background as to how Newt lost her family. What happens on the colony before the aliens, the ship is sort of discovered. These extra scenes in the battles, so on and so forth, where they've got all those like machine guns, those automatic
sentry guns. They have the automated sentry guns.
Yeah, that was great. Fantastic.
But one of the things that make the Aliens my favorite, I love the relationship between Montoya, and I cannot remember the name of the man that she was in love with, but I loved that they were in love with each other. They had to keep it quiet because, they're in the military and everything. But you're thinking exercising. And one of the men says to her, "Hey, Montoya, have you ever been mistaken for a man?" And she says, "No, have you?"
Vasquez.
Vasquez
and Drake.
I'm so sorry.
And Drake.
I don't know why I'm saying Montoya. I think
it's
Hispanic
name. So.
Yeah,
it's Vasquez. Thank you.
She's a great addition to that. She's a great addition.
She's wonderful.
She's a great character.
But also, we've got a lot more monsters.
Yeah. Go ahead, Marty.
Oh no, I love the fact Jeanette Goldstein is so good. It was only years later that I found out she's not Hispanic. She's British. They tanned her up and they gave her black contacts and kind of chopped her hair up, but she's I think it was because they were filming in Pinewood, they had to use a number of anglicized American actors who had basically become expats, and that's why certain actors got the gig they did. But she's fantastic, and the camaraderie of all of them, And as you said, the movie is so layered because as well as the whole Newt and Ripley Motherton, there's a Vietnam analogy in there as well. You've got these Marines who go in thinking these are a primitive fucking force. We're going to mop them up. We're going to clean them out. And they get fucked because they don't understand their enemy and they're fighting them on their own territory. Even the character of Carter Burke, the company man, that's a throwback to Vietnam. That's the CIA operative who wants to smuggle out drugs out of Cambodia. Instead of drugs, it's fucking facehuggers through Ripley and Newt. It's a brilliantly layered movie.
It's I think
that wonderful line, you don't see them fucking each other over for a percentage.
That's a great line.
I think Cameron wrote that, didn't he, with O'Bannon?
He did. He wrote it around the time he was doing the script for Rambo. That's why he had to bounce back and forth. And I think Terminator was the one that got him the gig. He might have gotten help from O'Bannon, but I think the whole draft was his. If you go on to the Alien Quadrilogy Blu-ray, you can actually read his entire standalone draft, and it's fairly close.
Nice. It's if you have the opportunity, you're in the chat, or if you watch this on the replay and you get a chance to, this is worthwhile. And it's very inexpensive. You can probably buy it now for like $20. It's all 4 movies, theatrical editions, special editions, and director's cuts of all the first 4 movies. And just absolutely, I mean, there are so many special features for each individual movie. It's not even funny. It's a fantastic purchase. Get it if you can. We also get introduced to a queen. And I remember the first time I saw that was just a badass monster. That was just a badass looking monster. Finally culminating in the final battle between Ripley, all armored up in the forklift, taking on the queen. Just a great piece of action. One of the all-time great films. And one of the all-time great sequels. I used to talk about this a lot. There's something out there called Sturgeon's Law that basically says 9 out of 10 things suck. And every once in a while you get one thing, that's one thing out of 10 that really actually is worthwhile, which, with this show, I kind of fall in line with. But that also means that 9 out of 10 sequels tend to suck. And it's not like, every one thing is a 10 and everything else is a 0. It's a spectrum. Don't misunderstand me. But it's once in a blue moon that you get a sequel like that you get a Terminator 2, you get an Aliens, you get The Empire Strikes Back or something like that. It doesn't happen very often. And this is, that movie is a bullseye. The third movie? Marty, that's kind of your wheelhouse.
I love this movie. This is a movie that extensively should not fucking exist. There was 7 drafts, numerous directors, and there was no solid shooting script. The script was made up each day before the camera started rolling, but it's a magnificent film, especially the assembly cut. Fincher kind of surrendered and said, look, I can't do anything anymore. But the fact we have a solid movie, which I like to think of as Umberto Eco in space. This is In the Name of the Rose in space. We have a phenomenal cast, mainly British. You have Brian Glover, you have Danny Webb, Charles Dance, Paul McGann.
I forgot Charles Dance is in that, yeah.
Yeah, Ralph Brown. Originally, Fincher was a big fan of Whitnell and I. That's why he had Ralph Brown and Paul McGann in it. Originally, the character Clemens, played by Charles Dance, was meant to be Richard E. Grant. He wanted the trifecta of Whitnell and I, but he couldn't get it. I love this movie. It's not a perfect movie, but for me, there is something. It is beautiful. It is a beautiful looking movie. It's not a happy movie. It's a grim movie. I think the main cardinal sin of this movie was it came after Aliens. You can't you were never going to win. And it's just a gorgeous looking movie. People bitching, oh, the CGI is crap. It's not shit. It's not shit CGI. It's fantastic rod puppet work. That is a fucking puppet, and it looks fucking gorgeous. It is an amazingly done puppet against blue screen. Yes, the blue screen and the gradient doesn't work, but that is some amazing fucking visual effects using a rod puppet. I stand by this movie. I will stand to bat every single fucking time for this movie. If you haven't seen the assembly cut and only seen the original, you are doing yourself a disservice. Go watch the assembly cut.
I have to take a look at it again. It's been a number of years since I watched the third one. And I have seen the assembly cut. I can't remember. It's okay. And like it's fair to say that anything after Aliens is going to fall short because, yeah, you
can't compete.
You can't compete. What can you do? And you're going to bet against James Cameron. Good luck. I'll have to take a look at it. It is very grim. Stuck on that men's prison. It's an interesting film. Should Ripley have? I don't know. Ripley dies at the end. I don't know. I don't know how I feel. I don't know how I feel about that.
I think it's a perfect arc for the character. It signifies fucking maturity, motherhood, and death, and it's just it works cohesively for me. Again, I've read deep dives and books into this, and there's so much that you can take away from Alien 3. Yes, it's not a happy movie, but neither is the first one. It's Ripley survives, but she's a traumatized kind of human being. She is essentially a survivor of fucking sexual assault to all intensive purposes, or attempted sexual assault. And yes, we have the roller coaster ride after the haunted house, but this is a reflection. There is so much to see and feel with this movie. And again, the fact we have any fucking movie at all is a miracle in itself.
Okay. Julia, what did you think of it?
I was particularly not impressed with it.
Okay.
It's kind of, I've seen it a couple of times. I didn't think the aliens looked that good. I thought they looked kind of ineffectual compared to the original ones. Love to see Charles dance. It's gorgeous, gorgeous man. Always a pleasure to see him. No, I don't really rate it very highly at all. It was just there.
All right. I did like the one scene where they're in it's sort of like the final face-off between Charles S. Dutton and the alien.
The lead mold.
Yeah,
I love that.
Yeah, I love that scene. I do love that scene. Yeah,
he takes off his glass because he doesn't want to get them broken, because it's like, yeah, I might survive this thing, so I better take off my fucking glasses.
Yeah,
I love that scene.
Yeah. Charles Dutton was a good touch to that. I love Charles Dutton. We haven't seen. It's one of those guys you just haven't seen him nearly enough. He always brings everything up. I'd say about 10 or 15%. He was a nice touch in it as well. Yeah, Pete Postlethwaite was in that, wasn't he?
Yeah, he had a very small role of Kevin. He was funny as well, because you kind of got the hint that this guy was in here for arson, because there's, this is Tralmanized. I seen this stuff fall into a beachhead bunker. It put a ship in dry dock for 14 weeks. And you're like, how the fuck does he know that? It's like, it's brilliant. There's lovely little character moments.
Maybe next time I screen it, I'm going to DM you, and you're going to give me, I'm going to ask for maybe 3 or 5 bullet points.
Yeah.
Like things to pay attention to. And then bearing this in mind, I'll, do my best to look at it through those. There are far worse movies out there than Alien 3, even if you don't like it. But among the 4, I'm not sure. I might actually rate it higher than the 4th one, because by the time we get to the 4th one, I just considered it to be sort of a parody of itself. Love the cast. Like to see Ron Perlman, Winona Ryder. It's always cool. Michael Wincott, Charles Hedaya, Dan Hedaya, Brad Dourif. Ripley is back. It went a little. It's not the greatest story. What is it? Roland Emmerich? Is he the director of that?
No. The movie is directed
Oh,
by
it's French guy.
John
Yeah.
Pierre Jeunet. This
Yeah.
movie was made because Fox wanted a sequel. They had fucking wrote themselves into a corner and they realized this IP still has some fucking legs in it. Let's bring Ripley back. Now, originally the movie was going to be a lot more reminiscent of RoboCop, this kind of dark satire. But then they made the tactical fucking error of bringing in Joss Whedon to write the script. And
that's always a mistake.
Yeah, that's it. As you said before, fantastic cast, amazing cast, and the effects are left wanting. I don't like the xenomorphs in this one. They look like they're slathered with shit. Literally, they look like they're slathered with shit.
There's something about the xenomorphs that I like. The slimier, the better. Like the first one seemed really fucking slimy. Like there was slime everywhere. Was cool.
There was also that one kind of had the Giger sensualness to it. These ones just looked like how a child might draw the alien. They just looked like they were covered in shit, and there was no dimensions. There was none of that kind of biomechanized kind of sensuality or structure to them.
You didn't get a good look at them. Like, and there's that one scene where they can swim.
Yeah,
and I'm like, okay, this is going a little far now. Now they're from outer space, but they can fucking swim.
Mike, I'm not gonna piss on that concept. I'm not gonna piss on that concept because the whole point of the xenomorphs is they're a bioweapon and their adaptability, but it could have been done a lot more subtly, I think.
Say they were done what? They were bioweapons.
They're bioengineered weapons.
Yeah. They're like Prometheus. So their adaptability is one of the key points to the creature. You drop it down on any planet, it can survive in an ice planet, it can survive in a water planet. That is the point of the xenomorph. They are the perfect organism, as Ian Holmes says.
Yeah, and that's something we didn't get into much either. Just how fucking we're just sort of hopping back and forth a little bit. Just how evil fucking Ian Holm was. He's just an evil little fucking gremlin. And when the reveal comes around that he's a synthetic, you realize even though he's supposed to be emotionless, there's such a feeling of contempt that he seems to have for everyone. You're just like, you little fucking troll. You've just been leading everybody to their death this entire time. He's one of the great underrated villains. And people probably recognize him more from playing Bilbo in Lord of the Rings, but 20 years before that, he was an evil fucker called Ash that just set everybody up and just.
UK, he made his name playing another evil little fucker, namely Napoleon. So this was a hit TV series in the 70s.
Oh, really?
Ian Holm played Napoleon.
Ian Holm.
So there you go.
That's weird. A British guy playing Napoleon. All right.
The other great thing about that as well, Mike, is as you said, he has contempt for the characters, mainly Ripley, but there's also as Burke says in later movies, the A20s were always twitchy, and you get the feeling the character is also sexually fucking attracted to Ripley. Henceforth, why he attacks her and rolls up a porno mag and tries to ram it down her throat. There is connotations.
I never picked up on that.
No, there is connotations of that. He's trying to force himself on her and rolls up, of all things, a pornographic magazine in an act that's very reminiscent of fellatio.
Okay, well, what I picked up on, there's definitely a power struggle between the two. Between Ash and Ripley, because Ripley always challenges him. Whereas like Dallas does not, he just kind of goes along. He's a science officer. I don't give a shit. I just, I want to get this done. whereas Ripley is constantly questioning, and she gets on his shit about opening the door. So I get that there's tension. I never picked up that there was any sexual tension going on between the two of them, but okay. That's just
like
never
when she was unconscious, he could have done a number of crushed her head with a fire extinguisher, strangler. He didn't. He chose a pornographic magazine. He removes the top buttons of his shirt, and he's standing over her and he's ramming that magazine down her throat. If that's not fucking,
it could be more about. It could be no. We're just talking. I mean, it could be more about power. Establishing dominance over her, that kind of thing. I don't know.
Both.
I've never tried to...
It could be both. It could be both.
It could be. It could be. It could be. Julia, you want to say something? Are you staying out of this one?
Well, I was actually going to talk about the Alien 4, because you have Brad Dourif, and there's definitely a sexual attraction going on there between him and
that's
the
a
alien.
weird fucking...
So the alien isn't quite thinking the same thing that he's thinking. But so that was Brad Dourif is absolutely one of my favorite actors. I've seen him in almost everything, including the one where he played Hazel Mote's Wise Blood. So I love to see him in that. I thought the whole concept that Ripley wasn't even allowed to die, that she has to be brought back and possibly brought back again and again in various different mutated forms in the attempt to recreate the alien from her DNA, which begs the question, how did they retrieve her DNA from that furnace in the last picture?
Charles Dance took blood samples and they were in the infirmary. If you read the Alan Dean Foster novel, you actually find out that her blood samples. Yeah.
Right.
Can you have an alien movie without Ripley? I mean, we're about to find out. And it seems like it's going to go okay. But yeah, there's a lot of weird shit going on in this last in that resurrection film. You look at shots like this and you're like, what the fuck is that? It's a weird movie. I think I enjoyed the first half of it, and then the second half, the wheels kind of come off. And I guess you could say the director's kind of going for it, but I didn't necessarily like where he was taking me.
Mike, Jean-Pierre Jeunet is a very kind of, I'm not going to try and stereotype, say a French director, but he has a very diverse kind of approach to movies. Be it you look at Amelie and you look at Delicatessen, they are two fucking massive ends of the spectrum that you can't really see working. But he tries to inject both kind of this kind of black comedy into this pseudo-sexual kind of fucking study.
Is he the Amelie director?
Yes.
I love Amelie. I own it on Blu-ray.
Yeah, he directed Amelie.
I haven't seen that one yet.
You've never seen Amelie? I don't know if you would like it. It's very
warm.
warm-hearted. Huh?
Yes, I'll probably hate it.
Yeah, you'll probably hate it. It's very warm. He did another great movie with her called A Very Long Engagement. It's about this. She plays a character whose husband or her boyfriend supposedly was killed in World War I, and it's her sort of relentless search to find him because she doesn't believe that he's dead. I didn't know that that's the same director. He's a really good director. He's
a fantastic director.
He seemed to be out of his wheel. This was out of his.
It was a studio project. It was a studio project. Fox were like, we need a new director. We need a new slick director. But we need to put a proviso that we can have control over him. Let's have a director who can't speak English. He didn't know a fucking lick of English, Mike. He had a translator that was going back to Fox, and Fox were saying, yeah, forget what the translator said. Here's what you're going to fucking do.
It's one of those things where, again, we've talked about this so many times, where you get this producer-driven content, and it rarely works. it's just, you could live without it, and you kind of wish that they would, leave artists to create art. That would work out fine for me, but we don't get that a lot of the time. And you hear these production hell sort of stories like you're talking about with Fincher, maybe a little bit of this and so many other things we've talked about where, the executives are trying to make a movie. They don't know shit about anything. It's like, how can we capitalize on this success? But there you go. That brings us to Prometheus. What did you guys think?
I liked it. I don't think it's a masterpiece, but it's certainly interesting. I like that we get to see some of the engineers, to find that if you remember the big creature that's caught, bound to a plinth or something in the first Alien movie, that we get to see that it's just a mask,
Right.
and underneath it's a very big human, which I thought was interesting. I loved the guy who played Walter. I liked Numi
Michael Fassbender.
Is it Rapace?
Yeah,
Rapace.
and you were right, Morgan. He was David in the first one. He's Walter in Covenant. So you're right first time.
Right. Thank you. Names
Well,
not my
he
strong
plays
point,
two
as
roles
it
in the
is.
second
Yes.
when he plays David and Walter.
Yeah.
Right. So I enjoyed it. I enjoyed it as a romp. I also don't blame the engineers for taking David's head off, because here come these alien creatures who not only speak their language but are demanding the secret of eternal life. Yeah, kill them.
What did you think, Marty? Prometheus?
Oh, I was looking forward to this, and I had so many mixed emotions with this. So the thing is, the positives first off, Ridley Scott never makes an ugly movie. This is a gorgeous looking fucking movie.
Beautiful.
Like it, hate it, or love it. This is a fucking fantastic movie. It isn't totally Scott's fault, the reaction to this, because okay, so it started as an Alien prequel. Then he's like, no, I'm going to do something different. And then Fox are like, no, make it an Alien prequel. He's like, okay, but I want to get these other things in. So it went back and forth. It was going to be, he did not want to do a direct prequel. No. He wanted to do something set in the same universe, closer to Ridley Scott's Blade Runner. But the studio was like, no, you got to make it more like Alien. As you've seen, as you know, I'm a fan of the Dark Horse comics, and I understand as well. Morgan makes a good point. It is cool to have the engineers or the space jockeys or whatever kind of designation you want, having them humanoid. I didn't like that. I was a major fan of the idea these are elephantine, eldritch horrors from beyond the stars. It demystified them a bit too much for me. Again, Morgan, I'm not criticizing what you're saying. You're dead right. It is cool that you have this link to humanity. But for me, I grew up reading the Dark Horse comics, and we got to look at this kind of race. And for me, I was like, oh, cool, we're finally going to see these big elephantine monsters. And then when it turned out it's just a suit, I was like, oh, man. But it's my issue is it doesn't know if it wants to be an Alien prequel or do its own thing. And I think that's the Achilles heel of this movie.
Yeah, I kind of feel the same way. And I heard the similar stories that this was a film that, Ridley Scott was sort of forced to add in the alien aspect to it, which sort of ruined the movie. I thought it's probably one of the most ambitious movies I've ever seen. You could see what he was trying to do.
Yeah.
And I feel for him. Because, again, it seems like the suit stepped in and just smeared shit, like on his idea, on his creativity. They overlapped it with something that, we had been watching at that point up to 20 years, or 30 years. We were ready for something different. He has this uber ambitious idea for a trilogy. I thought that Michael Fassbender's performance was perfect. I thought he was like flawlessly amazing as this David character, who is sort of the precursor to Ash. as this psychopathic kind of synthetic, who just has this contempt for humanity. And you can see it in the way that, he goes at it with Numi Rapace's boyfriend, and he kicks everything off by poisoning his drink with that alien DNA, which just starts the whole ball rolling. I thought it had a fantastic cast. You had Idris Elba, you had Charlize Theron, Numi Rapace. I'm a huge Numi Rapace fan, back from the Swedish Girl with the Dragon Tattoo film, so I'll watch anything that she's in. But again, I think it kind of got ruined in the end because they tried to bottleneck it into becoming an alien movie, which it wasn't. And I would have loved to have seen his vision, which leads me into the next one, which we'll get into in a minute, where we start to talk about Alien Covenant, because it seems like he almost kind of threw up his hands at the original idea, and just said, well, they want an alien movie. Now I have to give them an alien movie. Hold on a second. Slasher Fred, in the opening of the original movie, the way the camera moves around the corridors of the Nostromo, like we are the audience, giving a basic tour of the ship. Yeah, that was a cool scene. Yeah, I mean, it's just such a slow build, It's a good 45 minutes to an hour before it kicks off. I think that Dan O'Bannon wanted to create a whole Hitchcockian moment for the characters because of the way the pregnant Kane is led back to the ship is like a ticking time bomb. Okay. The movie Prometheus feels like a science fiction Indiana Jones because you have these explorers who discover a message from these extraterrestrials, and they get more than they bargained for. Resurrection was the fourth entry to a horror movie that Brad Dourif was in, which involved dangerous intergalactic creatures. Brad Dourif was in Critters 4. I'm sure he's not proud of that one. So that brings us to... Huh?
Critters 4 was fun. I enjoyed it.
Go watch Amelie and then get back to me on that one.
Oh, no. Cool,
yeah, go ahead. Go watch something cute and fuzzy. Yeah, there you go. That brings us to Alien Covenant. Oh boy. Who wants to kick off this one?
Morgan, ladies first. Your thoughts on Covenant?
Yeah,
Land me in it, why don't you? Well, I enjoyed it. I have just had to watch it again to remind myself of what happened, and I'm afraid I could only get it in Spanish without any English subtitles. So
there wasn't that much dialogue. You didn't need any dialogue in this movie. You didn't need any. You can watch it on mute.
Say that Michael Fassbender is a very good-looking man. And the scene in which Walter teaches David, or David teaches Walter, to play the flute was kind of homoerotic, shall we say. I liked that bit.
They were not subtle about it, Morgan. Like, you do the fingering and I'll blow. Jesus, who wrote that fucking line?
Hold on a second. Now I'm curious. Hold on. Who wrote that fucking thing?
Sorry, where was I? Oh, yes. I loved seeing the spaceship return to the planet and destroy all the engineers. Don't ask me why. I loved that bit. I think David basically figured out how to use all the controls and just decided to destroy them all. So, yay. And why
so,
not?
hold on. That was written by Dan O'Bannon.
I don't think so. I'd say based on the characters of Dan O'Bannon and Ron Shusett, but the script was probably someone else. Maybe Jonathan Spatz. I have a feeling it might be Jonathan Spatz. I could be dead wrong.
No, I'm looking at it right here. Hold on. I'm looking at IMDb. It says Dan O'Bannon, Ronald Shusett, and Jack Paglin.
It was probably Jack Paglin. Again, whenever the Alien movies come out, they have to credit Shusett and O'Bannon, even if they didn't directly write the script.
It wasn't
even the AVP movies have Dan O'Bannon and Shusett down as writers.
It wasn't a good movie, and I was just like, "What the hell is this?" It was a generic C plus alien movie. And I was so disappointed because I thought that maybe Ridley Scott would course correct. I'm sorry, Marty. What did you think? I'm sorry. Go ahead.
This movie had wasted potential, and as you just said, I thought it would be a course correction. I was more interested in seeing the exploration of David. Um, I will admit, as a fan of Alien 3, I can kind of feel how people felt when they killed off Hicks off screen with what happened to Elizabeth Shaw. Because I
Yeah.
like that character as well. I would have liked
Yeah,
that.
so did I.
My thing is, and it's one criticism I still have for Romulus is, you said, "Oh, can you have an alien movie without Ripley?" Apparently not, because they keep on casting women with short cropped brunette hair in all these fucking
Yeah.
movies. It's like, Jesus Christ. It's a it and again, the character Daniels is sufficient. I like that actress. She was brilliant in mid-90s, but this movie didn't know what the fuck it wanted to do. It was like, well, do we want to follow the David plot, or do we want to keep the fans happy and keep the whole alien element? There was scenes, Mike, specifically shot for the trailer that were never intended for the movie, that were put into the trailer just to have the alien knock about the ship more. It was a movie Scott was obviously kind of battling for control of with the studio, and Scott lost. It was very obvious.
Yeah.
Scott
Yeah,
lost.
it's very obvious. Now, he could have gone, and it's easy for us to say, or easy for me to say, he could have gone just all the way and just went into bloodbath. Like when the initial attack happens. That was an effective action scene, I thought. When the outbreak happens on the ship starts hitting the fan, and they really start to realize what they were, in for. I'm like, oh shit! And then you're right. It's very uneven because you have David come back, and then it starts to get weird, and I kind of lost interest in the whole thing. It's such a shame. If they would just, I think maybe in today's atmosphere, he could have gotten it done, because we see repeatedly now these directors that are just having these massive fever dreams, with like what James Cameron is doing with Avatar. He says he's going to spend the rest of his career just working on Avatar. Like, that's it. That's all he's going to do. And the second one made $2 billion. Now he's going to do another one with the Na'vi from the air. The first one was the forest Na'vi. Second movie is the water Na'vi. Then there's going to be Na'vi in the air that live there. And he's got, I think he said 4, maybe 5, it's going to be 5 movies. You've got like Kevin Costner, even though it didn't do well, he's got like a 12-hour Western plan with Horizon. Zack Snyder just released like 6 hours of Rebel Moon. You've got these guys that are just, making these movies because they can. I'm in a position to make this movie, and this is what I'm going to do, and fuck anybody who doesn't like it. And I appreciate that. I think that takes guts and conviction that you believe in your project. You're not making it for fans. You're making it for yourself. But 10, 12 years ago, that wasn't happening. And, it just got compromised. And it sort of ruins, it sort of almost dampens Prometheus a little bit. This Covenant, it sort of dampens it, because there's so much that could be done there, and it never really. It's almost like an afterthought. Like what happened in Prometheus in that second movie is almost an afterthought, and David, it's just David becomes a generic villain.
Sadly, Mike, some of the better aspects of the movie, or the more interesting aspects of the movie aren't even Scott's. The polyps that release the spores, that's from a William Gibson draft of Alien 3. There's so many times that Fox went back and cannibalized parts from on. There's between 7 to 15 versions of Alien 3 out there. But the thing with the polyps, that's from William Gibson's draft. The attack in the field by the neomorph, that's from the Vincent Ward That's from Vincent Ward's Alien 3, where the alien starts killing the monks in a wheat field. The more interesting aspects aren't even Scots.
That's a
They're
shame. That's a
fucking.
shame to know.
Mm,
That's a shame to know. That's too bad. That's too bad. Because I don't think that he wanted, like we've said before, I don't want to repeat myself. I don't think this is the movie he wanted to make anyway.
no.
And you hear so many stories about this kind of shit happening, and it's a shame. It's a shame. We ruined two good movies. And then when they flop, he loses the rights to the third movie. And I don't know if you heard this. My understanding was that at the end of the third movie, the David character is supposed to meet Ash. Had you heard that before?
Yeah. So the plot line was, David takes the Aura guys. Oh, sorry.
Isn't Ian Holm dead?
No. These are prequels.
This is a prequel, Morgan. So what was going to happen
Yes.
was.
So hold on. The actor who plays him is dead.
Yeah, but they were going to use deep fake.
You could.
Oh,
it's
right.
not going to be
Right.
So what was going to happen was, David takes Origai 6 to LV-426, the planet from Aliens, and he starts building a bunch of weapons because the engineers follow him there, and a bunch of colonists are caught in the middle, and that's when Ash becomes involved. And I have a feeling that they're going to maybe take elements. I mean, salt sprinklings of that that's going to end up in Romulus. I have a feeling there's elements of that going to end up in Romulus.
Entirely possible. All right, let's get to. All right, let's go with Marty. Your favorite one of the 6
is Aliens, the second one.
Is it the second one, Marty?
For me, no. Oh, sorry, Morgan. One.
No, your favorite film in the.
My favorite
6.
one. 3.
3.
3.
Okay.
No, again, I'm not saying it's the best one. It's my favorite one.
Yeah. But you like what you like. Julia, favorite in the franchise
3.
outside of AVP. Outside of AVP.
3, sorry, 2.
2.
You asked me that.
Okay, second one. My favorite will be the first one. It's just there's nothing like it. Not nearly as much action as the second one. But yeah, absolutely my favorite, that first one. How would you order them? Like best to worst?
Oh dear.
Personal preference.
Yeah, I'll go first on this one. I would go Aliens, Prometheus, 3, Covenant, Resurrection.
Okay.
Anybody else? Yeah, just jump on in.
Morgan, you go first, by all means.
All right. Well, the first one would be Aliens, the second one. Second favorite is the first one, Alien. Thirdly, I think I'll go for Covenant. Fourth, Prometheus. Fifth would probably be Alien 4 or Alien 3. And lastly, Alien 4 or Alien 3. I can't really choose between the two.
All right.
So,
go ahead, Marty.
Okay, so Alien 3, Aliens, Prometheus, Resurrection, and then Covenant.
Covenant last. Okay. I really am going to try. Maybe. I'm going to look at. After I see Romulus, I'm going to look at Covenant and 3 again. I'm going to look, and maybe Marty, when you get a chance in the next day or so, send me a couple of bullet points, like things to look for that maybe I'm overlooking. Just DM me a
Well,
couple of bullet points.
one other thing, you have the quadrilogy. I think what
Yeah.
also made me appreciate the movie is Wreckage and Rage, the documentary. That fucking thing is eye-opening. If you have the quadrilogy, that documentary
For the
should be
third
on it.
movie.
Yeah, it goes over
Okay.
Vincent Ward's Wooden Planet. It goes over David Twohy's story, which later turned into Riddick. It goes over Rennie Harlan's version, and it goes from all the unused scripts right up until Fincher's involvement, to Fincher's exit, to the issues they had with Fox. It's a marvelous documentary, and it makes you appreciate that movie a hell of a lot more.
Okay, well, maybe I'll look at it after we get out of this stream or something like that before I nap out for the evening. Okay, all right, so that's interesting. Okay, let's talk about Alien Romulus dropping on, well, Thursday, and I've got a ticket, I think, for 6:30 or something like that, 7 o'clock on Thursday. Expectations, Morgan Scorpion, what are you thinking? Is it going to be good? Is it a stinker? Have you seen some
I
trailers?
haven't a clue. I haven't seen a trailer. I don't know any spoilers. I don't know any details of the cast. And I'd
Shame
like to
on
keep
you.
it that way. I
Why?
would like to watch it, though. I am looking forward to seeing it.
Okay. Okay. So you just want to go in completely blind. I am of the same
Yes,
opinion
please.
in that sense. Yeah. Okay. Marty, what do you got? What are you thinking? Is it going to be good? Are you?
I'm cautiously optimistic. I know some of the stuff that's going down, and I know the third act is either going to make or break Alien fans. I know that. So
Okay. Okay.
I don't want to say
Uh,
anymore. I don't want to spoil it on anyone.
we got Mr. Dan here saying, seeing Romulus Friday morning. Very nice. Very nice.
Nice.
I think Eric is going Friday night or something like that. I'm going Thursday night. I'm hoping that we can connect. Dan, if you want to jump in the stream with us, we're looking. We got to see if Marty can hook up maybe Monday night. We're going to do a review if we can get everybody together to discuss it. I, for one, am very much looking forward to this. I'm looking forward to just a bloodbath of an alien movie, which is what I want, because it's Fede Alvarez. We've never gotten a bloodbath of an alien movie. We had a small segment of it in Covenant. That was as close as I've seen to a bloodbath in an alien movie, with the field attack, so on and so forth, the attack on the ship. I was a huge fan of what he did with the Evil Dead remake. I think it's one of the best remakes in horror. Don't Breathe. This guy goes to the wall. That's what he does. He just takes it right to the fucking wall. And I think that's what he's going to do here. And I'm here for it. I'm here for it. I've had my tickets for about 2 weeks now. Very, very much looking forward to it. And I'm going on Thursday when it's early. So, 6 o'clock, people will still be working. Nobody's taking their stupid kids to, run up and down the aisles, and, kids who want to switch seats and giggle. I just went to see a movie, Cuckoo. I went to see Cuckoo. And there were these kids, I don't know what, they were just like hopping in and out of the theater. I think they were just sort of, I don't know what they were doing, but they were annoying. So Thursday, 6 o'clock, I'm looking forward to it. When are you going, Marty?
Hopefully Friday about lunchtime.
Okay.
As you said, same thing. So people are still at work. Kids aren't at school because summer break, but they'd be. It's Ireland. They'll be out enjoying the sunshine.
Yeah. We'll be in a nice dark theater watching some fucking Alien. And the good thing about it is, even the worst Alien movie is better than 70% of all the other sci-fi movies that get released out there. Even Resurrection or Covenant, it's still, Covenant is still a Ridley Scott movie. Resurrection is still, an Alien movie with a really decent cast. I don't see how we lose on this one. very, very, very much looking forward to it. Very much.
So, Mike, say what you will about, as you were saying, say what you will about any of the movies in the franchise. There's no non-aesthetically pleasing alien movie. They are all fucking, be it Janae, be it Cameron, be it Fincher, they're all gorgeous. Even Covenant, I promise, it's still a fucking gorgeous movie. There's no ugly, well, not intentionally ugly looking alien movie. They're all fucking gorgeous looking movies to look at.
I gotta say, I didn't get a chance to finish it. I was watching Prometheus a little bit before we went on, and I got about halfway through. It's just beautiful. That just opening scene with the engineers and the waterfalls and the atmosphere, and you're like, this is just like, there's just so much detail, or the beauty, like when the ship lands on the planet, and you're just seeing the landscapes and the huge mountain ranges and everything like that. I mean, it's just absolutely beautiful. The only thing that disappointed me about Prometheus was that it nixed Guillermo del Toro's idea to do Lovecraft. Guillermo del Toro was going to do At the Mountains of Madness, and the set designs that he had in mind were so similar to what he saw in Prometheus that he just decided to axe the whole project. Just absolutely, and he never went back to it. He never went back to it. And, that would have, Guillermo del Toro doing Lovecraft just would have been, I think, something very special.
He did Lovecraft with the first Hellboy.
Yeah.
A little bit of cosmic. Yeah, he got cosmic with it. But, I mean, just a direct interpretation of that. That's such a bold, like, who the hell would take on that? The Mountains of Madness.
The thing is, the original Alien itself has Lovecraftian connotations with like the dead jockey and stuff, the exploration of this dead civilization. Originally, it wasn't going to be a crashed ship. It was going to be a pyramid. It was going to be an obelisk pyramid on the planet's surface.
All these great stories. So many great stories out there. All right. Is there anything that we have not discussed in this stream about the franchise that you would like to talk about before we sign off?
Mike, can I pose a question to you and Morgan before we go?
You can.
Okay. Bar Ripley, who is your favorite character from the franchise, from any of the movies?
Vasquez.
Cool.
Vasquez? I don't know. The name that pops into my head for some reason is Newt.
Okay. I love Danny Webb, Morse from Alien 3. We've no climate control, no guns, no rubbers, no fucking ice cream. All we got left here is shit. Why are we even talking to her? She's the one who brought the fucker. Why don't we put her head through the fucking wall? I love Danny Webb in that movie. He's brilliant.
There are so many. You look at Parker from like the first movie, Yaphet Kotto. He's just great. You got Hudson from the second movie. With Bill Paxton, just one of the all-time great.
Why don't we put her in charge?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. He's just so great with the one-liners. Like I said, Charles has. All right, here's a question. All right, so we'll go to this.
Done a bloody good job, actually.
Huh? What?
I think she'd have done a bloody good job, actually.
Who?
Newt. She had, as Ripley pointed out, managed to survive for several years.
Yeah.
Surrounded by the monsters. She's clearly got her head screwed on, right?
Morgan, they kind of play that up actually in the comics because she takes center stage as the heroine. The comics takes place 10, 15 years later, and she escapes a psychiatric ward to help Hicks, and she's become essentially the Ripley's kind of protege in the comics, and that's something cool that the comics explore.
She reminds me a little of that's kind of a Sarah Connor thread.
Yeah.
Just being institutionalized and then escaping, and what she's saying is the truth. So this movie supposedly takes place 30 years after the first one. So it's right
Yeah.
in the middle of the first and the second movie. And the girl that they've got playing the lead role, I loved her in Civil War. Kaylee Spaney. I just think she's fucking great. Has anybody here seen Civil War?
I haven't seen Civil War, but she's
Anyone?
fantastic as Priscilla Presley.
Oh, wait, was she Priscilla?
Yeah,
That Sofia Coppola movie? Okay,
yeah.
I know about it. I didn't see it. Not exactly on the top of my list, but yeah, she's fucking great. So you're right, Marty. They seem to all be short cropped, sort of, strapping looking young ladies out there battling these aliens. So, maybe they're giving the fans what they want. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. It's like the Predator. When we talked about Prey, it'd be interesting to see a movie where the aliens won, or like I said, it'd be like the best Predator movie would be a Predator movie where the Predator won. Predator always fucking loses. Now he was losing to like teenage girls. It's gotten increasingly ridiculous. So maybe I wouldn't mind.
I'll argue with you to the fucking ends of the earth
I
about
know
that
you
movie.
will. I know
But
you
we
will.
won't
I
we
know
won't
you will.
fucking pick that up
No, he
here.
won't. No, he won't. No, he won't. But it'd be interesting to see an alien movie where the aliens win. Like that would be different.
That almost happened. That almost happened with the first one. Scott had played with the idea of Ripley having her head torn off, and the alien sits at the controls of the Narcissus and talks. Seriously, I should be honest. You can actually fucking look up that script as well.
No, I mean, because there's that where she's strapped in and she turns around and it's right there on top of her. You could have ended it right there where he just, and that's it. That would have been, but there's no sequel in that. So there's no sequel. But I mean, there's always the idea. It's not so much are the people going to win, it's who's going to survive. Like who's going to be the final, people or the final person or man, woman, whatever. So, but you want to throw a curveball, have the alien fucking win. That would be interesting. So as far as I'm concerned, this isn't a movie that, needs a lot more. But if you get a decent director behind it, like we have right here, then I'm down for it. I'm down for it. So looking forward to it. All right. Anything else? Anything else?
No, I think we covered all the bases.
Okay. Julia, plug something. What's going on with your channel?
Plug something. Well, let's see. On my channel, I've recently interviewed Megan Tremethick. She's part of the Hex Horror, Amicus Horror, British horror studio that's being formed in Scotland by Laurie Brewster and his friends. So they've just had a Kickstarter launched yesterday, because I'm in England. And that was for The Black Chariot, which is a sort of Hitchcockian style black and white horror movie about a cursed car. And you have to go on just to see the plug for it, because Laurie Brewster has made a video to advertise it in which he basically portrays Alfred Hitchcock as only he can. So so there's that. Definitely plugging that. And an author called John F. Leonard has given me permission to record a short story of his called Dog'em, which is about a toy dog that comes to life after meeting a little boy. And now you know me, I don't like sentiments. I don't like soft, happy things. So you can imagine it's quite a dark story. This one's got a bit of a sort of kind of not too miserable ending. So I'm really looking forward to that. That's give me the incentive to record again. And
Okay.
oh yeah, I'm going to say it again. I've said it before. I'll say it again. Venetia Frenia, you must watch that lovely horror movie in which this character here gets to kill loads of people in interesting ways.
Okay. All right. That works. That works. Marty, what do you got? What's going on?
I'm if I'm still invited, I think I'm on your channel tomorrow night doing Ghost
Yes.
Rider.
Yes.
Okay. I have a figure review coming up of a vintage Ghostbuster figure, and in conjunction with Alien Romulus being released, I'm going to do a deep dive into the best Alien-inspired video game, Alien Isolation, which Alvarez has taken a lot of nods for this movie. So I'm going to be doing a deep dive into that sometime over the weekend, and obviously I'll have a review for the movie when it comes out as well.
Okay. All right, that works. For this channel, we'll be back tomorrow night talking about Ghost Rider Spirit of Vengeance, which I just fucking love that fucking movie. I'll be here with Marty. I'll be there with Eric and Monty, which is going to be interesting. Julia, you're welcome to join us. I don't know if you're much of a Ghost Rider fan.
I've never seen the film.
Okay, well, if you get a chance, if you can somehow screen it.
If you can direct me to a free version online,
I don't know much about those. If you go on whatever you frequent, it's probably not difficult to find if you know how to, traverse those sites. I got off the free streaming show. It's on Tubi. Actually, that's not true. Here, it's on Tubi, which is a free streaming site. Yeah.
Can't get it in the UK.
Marty, do you know anything over there?
Trying to think, because it's not, Julia, it's not a new movie, so if you have any reliable sites, you could probably fucking track it down fairly easy.
2009.
Just give me the title again. It's
Ghost Rider, Spirit of Vengeance. Nicolas Cage, Kieran Hines, Idris Elba, Christopher Lambert.
That is a nice looking cast. I'll think about it.
All right. Well, I'll touch base with you tomorrow. We'll be here at the same bat channel, same bat time. Thursday, I'll be going to see some Alien Romulus. Then hopefully Monday, we will all coalesce to have some sort of stream to discuss it. And then next week, I'm not sure what we're going to cover. We're covering comic book movies that dropped before 2008. So I've got a list, but I don't know which one I'm going to pick out yet. So we'll see how that goes. All right. My thanks to you good people overseas, Morgan Scorpion and Trash Picture Show. I'll be putting the links to their channels in the description. Thanks. Good night. God bless you. And I'll talk to you soon.